Aloha Men of Abundance. This is episode 65, and this is a bonus episode inspired by an email that I received just a couple days ago. And every time I get one of these emails or read a positive review in iTunes, it just pumps me up. It really does. It really makes me realize why I'm doing this and keeps me going. But I have to admit, it's been a little while since I've received an email quite like this one, and it came right on time. It really did. As the title of this podcast states, everybody, every man needs a kick in the ass once in a while. And that may come in various forms. In this case, it came in an email from somebody who's very appreciative of the show, and I'm going to read that email here in just a minute. But it can come in other forms. It can come in the form of an accountability partner, which I've just recently taken on a new accountability partner in Kyle. And we just recently met. We met through a Facebook group, and we've been talking with each other and corresponding back and forth because we have similar interests and we have similar things that we want to do. And we are keeping each other accountable and masterminding and coming up with more ideas. We just had a breakthrough this morning, or at least I did, just because of our conversation. And he is going to be kicking me in the butt, and I'm going to be doing the same for him. And every time I receive one of these positive and inspiring messages on how what I'm doing with Men of Abundance is affecting somebody else's life and inspiring them to take action, it's validating what I'm doing. It's letting me know that somebody's out there actually listening. And I just got a huge smile on my face right now, and I just feel amazing because this email, again, really came right at the right time. I keep saying that, and what I mean by that is I really got into a slump. I really kind of got out of my routine. I have not been journaling like I normally do. My morning routine was disrupted. Somehow, some way it was disrupted, and I don't know exactly where or why, but it doesn't really matter. The point is I'm back on track, and much of it is because of this email that I received from Joe the other day. Ever since I read that email, I got further inspired by the fact that what I'm doing and what the guests on Men of Abundance are doing is inspiring him. It kicked me in the butt, and it got me back on track. And then I got connected with Kyle, and now I'm really on track, and I'm just loving it so much. So I'm going to read that email to you right now and share with you what I'm talking about and show you what Men of Abundance is doing for other men. And it's my hope that you're getting the same or similar inspiration out of the experience as well. And if you are, definitely share this episode and others with the men and the people in your life. Now, before I read this email, I do want to let you know that I did check with Joe, and he did give me permission to share this with you. I also want to mention that part of the reason why this particular email had such an impact on me is because this is a man that I personally respect as well. I've always respected his leadership. Him and I served together in Iraq and at Fort Hood, Texas. And I know this guy well. I know his leadership style. I've always respected him as a person and him as a fellow veteran. I also have to mention that he refers to me as Top in this email. And the reason for that is Top is short for trainer of personnel. That's what some people say anyway. But bottom line is I was the first sergeant in the organization that we served together in. I was actually the detachment sergeant, but technically the first sergeant. So that's why he refers to me as Top. So here's the email. Good morning, Top. Just wanted to write you real quick and say thanks for everything you're doing with this podcast. You have made me into a huge fan. I am working for a sales company, so I spend a lot of time driving, and your episodes keep me going and have inspired me to look at some other options in my life and ways to improve. I'm in the process right now of starting my own real estate business. Your guests and you have inspired me to take advantage of my experiences and turn that into an opportunity where I can live what I consider a life of abundance. Keep up the good work, and I hope the Men of Abundance community keeps growing. Thanks, Joe West. Joe, I truly appreciate that. I appreciate the words. Again, they were right on time. And Men of Abundance is growing. I checked this morning, and we're in 36 countries around the world. I could put the numbers. I'm amazed at the places that people are listening and the numbers that are listening around the world. It's truly, truly inspiring to look at that in itself. But to get a message back from you and other listeners in posting in iTunes and the reviews in iTunes and emails and even people contacting me and asking me to be a coach and to coach them in living a life of abundance is extremely humbling, very humbling. And I'm excited to bring more guests to you. I have such an amazing lineup. In fact, just this week, we have the conversation being launched this Thursday with David Sanderson. David Sanderson, in case you don't know who that is the last passenger that got off the plane that landed in the Hudson. You know the movie Sully? Yeah, it's about that. And we have the conversation actually about how accurate the movie was compared to what actually happened. We talk about what actually happened on that plane. What was going on? What was the mindset? What were people doing as that plane was getting ready to land in the Hudson? And David has an amazing story besides that. That in itself is a really unbelievable story, quite frankly. And I hope you've seen the movie. If you haven't, you definitely got to see the movie. But David, by himself, other than that, is just truly an amazing individual. He's an amazing man, and he's got a lot to offer. He's going to bring a lot of value to you. And because he certainly did with me. It was a very fun conversation. And since then, him and I have talked a couple times. We talked for like an hour before we even got on the podcast, weeks before. And we've talked since then. He's introduced me to some very, very cool people. In fact, one of the people he introduced me to is coming up in a couple weeks. I already had a conversation with Kay Wilkins, who is the CEO of the American Red Cross Southern Region. She has one heck of a story. You're definitely going to want to listen to her. Just a few of the other upcoming guests that we have one is Cameron Harold. Cameron Harold has a TED Talk, and he's getting ready to do another one. We have the conversation about that, but you got to check out his TED Talk. I'm going to have that listed in the show notes of this episode. He talks about education and children and how we should be training our children to be entrepreneurs. Very, very cool TED Talk. I'm going to share that link in the show notes at menofabundance.com/065. Also, we have a conversation with Billie Jean Shaw. Man, if you don't know who that is, you are definitely going to want to listen to that episode. It's coming up. He is intense, and he really lays it down. I had a conversation with Kenny Cannon, and goodness, just many others. Too many to even list right now are already in the queue and ready to go. So make sure you subscribe on iTunes or on whatever platform that you listen to, on Stitcher, wherever, or just listen directly from the podcast right at menofabundance.com. All right, once again, I want to thank all of you who have left a rating and review in iTunes. If you have not done that, please do so. It really does help out the show so more men can listen to what we have going on over here and get involved in the community. That's another thing. I would love for you to get involved in the community, and you can just go to the links at menofabundance.com under any one of the podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review. There's a rating button right there. And you can scroll down into the show notes, click on the link where you can get involved in the conversation in our Facebook group. I am honored to serve each and every one of you. I truly learn a lot from all of the experiences and all the conversations that I have with the guests and the listeners. And I just can't say enough about you guys. I really, really care for everything that you have going on. I want to lift you up, and I'm honored to be a part of this whole process. Now, go out and live your life of abundance and make sure to pay it forward.